Warning. Incoming game over. Warning. Incoming game over.
All right, welcome to another episode of Game Over Calgary. My name is Anand, your host, one of the newest hosts. Actually, I was supposed to be on the co-host tonight, but then Peter asked me a favor if I could jump on the host chair. So here I am, Peter. Welcome. Good evening. The Flames defeat the Isles in a shootout by a score of 2-1. We'll talk about all that. We'll give you a quick scoring summary and much more. All you need to know. But first of all, Peter, how are you this evening? What's new?
Not a lot new, but I'm doing well. It's that was. I don't totally know what to make of that game. I don't think the Flames played particularly well, but I also don't think they were outplayed. So I guess a shootout win is appropriate for whatever any of that was that we saw tonight from this team.
Yeah, absolutely. We'll talk about all that. Shootout win. We'll talk about a couple key topics, and then we'll take your questions and answers as well in period 4 or overtime. But I hate to do this to you to begin the show. We'll do a quick ad read, and then we'll get things right away. But thanks for joining, Peter and I. Keep those questions coming. Our YouTube chat is open. We'll take a lot of your questions and stick around till the end. We have an announcement as well to make. So stick around till the end. I hope you do and enjoy the show as well. So, check out the flagship show of Game Over Network on the Game Over Network channel, Hyperdrive Hockey. All things hockey across various leagues in multiple countries, whatever it is and wherever it is. Max, Defin, and Kev have you covered for all your hockey news with a steady dose of fun and fan engagement. You can find Hyperdrive Hockey on the at Game Over Network YouTube channel, where you're watching right now, and there is a Game Over Network YouTube channel as well, or wherever you listen to your favorite podcasts. That's Amazon, Apple, Spotify, and on the Hyperdrive Hockey page at thegameovernetwork.com. All right, Peter, we talked about offer of where we are going topics wise. And the first topic I kind of wanted to cover is how the Flames don't shoot a lot, don't start well coming out of the gates, but somehow bust at the end, few end of the seconds or even minutes of the first period, second period. We saw that today, and we continuously keep seeing that. What do you think the trend is? Why is it like that? Why do they have that slow start and then all of a sudden they come buzzing out of the gates? Maybe not out of the gates, already on the ice before a few minutes the period ends.
Yeah, I because you brought it up when we were chatting about this game in our the Discord there, and I was trying to think of, okay, well, what is kind of, I guess, predictive of this, or what can be fixed from this, or anything like that. And I genuinely don't know what the answer is, because you're right, like that there is a lot of time that goes by where it's just there's nothing going on, there's not a whole lot happening, and then there's a push at the tail end of the periods, and this is something that happens a fair amount in the world of mixed martial arts because you're trying to steal around with the judges. There aren't judges here. There is but one, and that is the one up on the scoreboard. So I genuinely don't know where this is coming from and why this is a thing. But when you, as soon as you pointed it out to me, it was like, yeah, no, you know what? This is something that happens quite a bit. And so I wish I had a deep, insightful, philosophical reason as to why this may be. Like, at least they are finishing strong, so that's a good thing. Like, I would rather. I mean, I would rather they play well the whole period, but if we have to be choosy, I would rather you finish a period strong than finish it while just getting buried. But I would also like it if they could carry that momentum from one period to the next. And like they finished that second period with, I thought, a lot of momentum and really buzzing and creating some opportunities. And then the Islanders got nine chances in the first 30 seconds of that period, of the third period. So I really don't know what the answer is, but it is something that is starting to become a bit of a pattern for this team, and that has to be at least a little bit concerning for Coach Ryan Huska.
Yeah, the only thing I brought up this point and I wanted to talk with you tonight is just because Ryan Huska and the team has been always talking about how important it is to play the whole 60 minutes because third period comebacks, like we have seen all the season, it sometimes works, it doesn't at all. So having that balance, do you start well? Do you end well? That's the question that we all Flames have, and we don't. I think that defines the Flames' identity, but I don't know if there is one true identity yet on the Flames teams either. Because some days you see them come score the first period and then they kind of drop off. But then on other days they start slow and they finish strong. Have you seen that trend, Peter? Do you agree with me? That kind of balance, it's either the one or the other.
Yeah, I would agree with that for sure. And I do think like the other team has something to say about it as well. But for the most part, it is something that would just pop up. And you talked about like play well at the beginning, play well at the end. I would just like for them to play well. But again, that is it's part of the growing part of this whole team and everything that goes along with it. And so I and they were talking about it a little bit on the broadcast tonight, where you were expecting these guys to be fired out of a cannon. They haven't played since Friday, and they've only played one game since Tuesday, so they've had a bit of time to kind of rest up, and then it just not that they were I thought abysmal in the first period or anything like that. Like that first period just kind of happened, and like I take notes by hand because I'm old on every game, and normally my notes per period are about one full-sided page, and for the first period it was half of one. Like there wasn't a whole lot happening, but that was also, I think, kind of shows that period was there for the taking, right, from the Calgary Flames. And so again, you would just want for it to be a more consistent effort, and so maybe this is a young thing with this group and trying to get acclimated and everything like that. um, you are sorry, I'm very choked up about it, apparently. You are seeing a number of teams, there are a number of line combinations and stuff like that that are a little bit newer, I guess. And so maybe there's a bit of a chemistry thing there or whatever, but I would like to see that be a little bit more consistent. And maybe it's just as simple as like we saw one of the things that helped get them going in the third was Ryan Lomberg with a steal at the blue line. Now they had just scored, so that helped as well. But to get that steal at the blue line and work his way in, this fourth line has been a real energy line for them. And so maybe there is a little bit more usage they can have in the first period or whatever. But yeah, it is an interesting development that in this line of work, we're not supposed to say I don't know a whole lot, but I genuinely don't know what the answer is aside from I don't know, just play better.
Yeah, good one, Peter. Yeah, thanks for that explanation. Once again, yeah, they're just gelling up chemistry. You see different pairings every day. You see different lines every day and different teammates. So it's still work in progress. We don't know just yet when we will see us stuck together group of teammates just yet because there is still Joel Hanley still with the team, Tyson Barry's with the team. They all have to get some playtime at some point. So you'll see this evolving, but maybe closer to maybe the 20 game. I mean, we are slowly approaching the 20 game mark as well. Maybe it's the 25 or 30 game mark that gets solid pairings. One thing, other thing I wanted to talk about or ask you, Peter, is Miromanov, Daniil Miromanov. I think he has really improved in my eyes, especially since that Nashville Predators game. He scored a snipe goal that led the Flames 1-0. What have you seen from Miromanov so far this past couple of games? Forgetting the past, but these past couple of games, what have you seen from him?
Yeah, I've like this sounds very hockey bro-y, but a more confident player out there and someone who I think is kind of a little bit more comfortable with things after coming to this team midway through last season, or I guess more toward the end of last season. And I think now we talked about it there a little bit with the trying to get everyone kind of acclimated and everyone kind of familiar with each other. He and Uyghur have clicked. That something has now figured it out. And Matt C in our chat saying, if only our forwards could shoot as well as our defenders do. Obviously, the big shot coming from Rasmus Anderson, but I thought Miromanov had a couple of the better opportunities, or at least had a hand in a couple of the better opportunities that the Flames had this evening, where there was a couple of like high danger chances. He is being very aggressive in pinching in the offensive zone, and I think that has been something, and probably the biggest development in his game has been how he has been able to kind of read when is the right time to go, when isn't the right time to go. He had it was just a beautiful setup from Mackenzie Weegar to Miromanov the other night, where Miromanov is busting it down the wing. Weegar reads it, passes it to him, and nails it in for the goal there. And you saw it tonight. They almost had a really nice play. He was there again. I think he has kind of started to recognize when he can go, when he can't go, when Uyghur will have his back, when he needs to stay back a little bit. And because of that, there's a bit more of a confidence to his game. The other part of it too is that his skating is obviously incredible. And I think it is very clear, given that Rasmus Anderson leads this team in points right now, some crazy how, or if he's not leading, he's very close to it anyway. I think that there has been a real focus on getting the defensemen involved on the offensive side of things, even going back to last year with how well Uyghur played. And I think Miromanov is getting into that because that's not every team's philosophy. And for a long time, it wasn't this team's philosophy. And so that can take you a little bit of time to get into those. And so I think we are just seeing a much more comfortable and more confident Miromanov, and you are starting to see the fruits of that labor kind of pay off a little bit.
Yeah, 100%. You nailed it, Peter. Like, Miromanov has improved really well. I think they are finding chemistry. Like you said, we're talking about chemistry all season long. We are talking this evening as well. And I think he has found it with Uyghur and Miromanov, and he has really gained his confidence. We'll see a couple more games if it continues to translate to, but I think I have liked so far from Miromanov. Anything else you want to bring up, Peter? I think we talked about the two couple points. If you missed, if you're just joining us, like I see Mackenzie Grafton just joined us, we talked about the flames coming out of the gate slowly, but then starting bussing in the first period, and then we talked about Miromanov as well. But anything else you want to add,
Um,
Peter?
I know we're going to touch on a couple of other things here as we kind of go along. So I think we kind of covered some of the main things there from this one, but just like again, overall a very strange game to try to break down, given how close these two teams kind of were, and the it was a little Daryl Suttery tonight, a little low event hockey, so to speak. But no, I think we covered it pretty well.
All right, that will do it. So first, before we move on to our second period, Game Over Network is an independent production focused on community inclusion and quality people. If you're interested in supporting the Game Over Network, we have crowdfunding options available. In the description of this episode, you'll find a link to our Patreon page, and we are also working a page through LaRouche, a crowdfunding platform for companies originating in Quebec. For LaRouche, we are aiming to raise $15,000, and if we hit that goal, we'll gain access to government grants that will allow us to employ more people. So, like us, if you want to join me or anybody, Conrad or Matt, whoever you want to join, if you want to join us, help us out. And if you have any ideas of what would you like to see as giveaways, that includes maybe some of our merch or something else, or crowdfunding efforts, let us know in the comments. That's open to you right now. Or you can always tag us on Twitter, Instagram, or join our Discord server as well. Fun place to be, and that's where we often talk. Right, Peter? We have these offline discussions and prepare a show via Discord, so come join us there as well. All right, moving on to period number two. That's where the New York Islanders started scoring in the at the 132-minute mark from Peter Engvall, assisted by Mayfield and Cholovsky. Sorry if I mispronounce all these names, but still getting to know all the hockey players in the system. But that's where Islanders scored 1-0. And the second period we were talking about, I think you brought this up as well, Peter, Dustin Wolf. How amazing he has been this season. Let's talk about him. Fans were not, or even fans were not happy or even confident that Wolf will be NHL ready. But we have seen the caliber so far. He has seen pretty couple good pretty NHL teams, and he has, I think, stopped like two 83 shots in like two games or something, if I remember correctly from the Sportsnet broadcast. But yeah, let's talk about Dustin Wolf a bit. How amazing he has been for the Calgary Flames, and he keeps them in almost every game now.
Yeah, he really does. And it's weird. We've talked about this in this market for a fair amount now, right? Like he is a guy that there was a lot of discussion around this particular player, and that it wasn't always positive, as you discussed there. But I don't know what anyone could say negatively about this kid now. And the thing I kind of brought it up before, the thing that gives me the most confidence is he's learning. He is very clearly getting better at things. Last year, it was very obvious that so much of what he has done, basically his entire life as a goaltender, has been based on his athleticism. And when things are moving as quick as they can in the NHL, he was trying to keep up with that just with pure athleticism and was putting him out of position. This year, and I mentioned it on social media tonight, he was in the right spot at the right time always. And even just the goal that beats him, I don't think he is out of positioning or anything like that. It's just a really good drag by Engvall, and then a perfect shot ends up beating him. So the thing that I really appreciate about his game is that he is learning and he is growing. And to your point, checking out the stats here, which apparently I need to go into dark mode on this one because it's very obvious when I go to a different website how much brighter it gets. But right now, just for November, so it is 5 games here in November. He is rocking a 1.72 goals against average and a 942 save percentage. So pretty good. I would say, I mean, actually, that doesn't even include tonight. So those numbers are all going to get better based off of how he played this evening. So probably a save percentage around 950, goals against average, dipping down into the 1.5. He has been exceptional. And do 5 games in November mean that he is going to be the future of this team? It does not. But the way he has gone about what he is doing and the improvements that he has made in his game, I think give you a pretty good representation of the player that he is going to be and gives you a lot of confidence that he can be the goaltender of the future. And to me, and he has answered every question that I had, at least coming into this year. That there are going to be others as he continues in his NHL career. But what about for you? Has he I guess, did you have any questions about him potentially being a number one this year? And do you think that he's at least answered some of those for you this season?
Yeah, definitely, Peter. So, just the one question, not even to think about him badly, but just the one question I had is just because his little shot height, would he be able to go high and grab those pucks? But I think it has only happened on the one or odd situations, but other times he has been fantastic. He's moving side to side. Like you said, he's often at the right time, at the right place to save those pucks, and he has done amazing. Even he can do stick saves. He can grab the puck, not give a rebound. He can play the puck as well. So I think all the questions that I had from him has improved and gone away. Like I'm so confident in him. We'll see what the Flames does now. Is he maybe in for another start as well? It would be curious to see if he starts against Rangers now because he's had two pretty good games. Can he get another start, or do they go back to rotating Dan Vladar again? Not no hate for Dan Vladar, but I just want to see how this will be an interesting conversation for sure. Definitely, especially with now racking up 2 wins and stopping, like you said, more saves. I think tonight he's coming into a save percentage of 0.966. That was 29 shots against and 28 saves. So a lot of factors that comes to goaltending, and I think we never had an interesting goaltending battle at all last season at all. We didn't have this many goaltending conversations, and now that we are having it, especially with the rookie involved, I think it's a good, nice thread. Do you agree with me, Peter?
Oh yeah, 100%. Yeah, like the last few years, it's been very obvious who was going to get the calling goal and who wasn't. And I have covered this team at times where the goaltending conversation was, okay, which one of these guys can get us a save? And now it's a bit of a different one, where Vladar and Wolf are both playing very confidently. And so because of that, you are getting a number of very good games from this team. And so you are feeling very confident that these guys are going to be able to break through and to give you the best chance to win. And so you aren't necessarily worried about which either guy on either night. So it is a good problem for the Flames to have. And I would be okay with it either way. If they went with Wolf in the next game, I think just looking at the teams that Wolf has played so far this season, I guess there's a Winnipeg game in there. But aside from that, like he hasn't necessarily played the tippity top teams on the Flames schedule. And the New York Rangers, whilst currently in a wild card spot, at least they were this morning. I'm not sure where they're at now, and I don't really know how that game with the I think Canucks. I don't know how that one's going, but they are a very talented team anyway. And so I think that that would be one of the better teams he's faced so far. So it'd be an interesting challenge for him. At the same time, Dan Vladar has played really good in goal lately, and you don't want to go like a full week or whatever it would be between starts for him. So I I don't think there is a wrong answer necessarily, but I think we are seeing that Wolf can be trusted with more of the workload and with some better opposition, I think, going forward.
Yeah, 100% agree with you. And yeah, we'll have to see. We don't make the decisions. It's the Flames management and coaching staff that make the decisions. We'll see. What else I had to talk about in the second period? Yeah, once again, Islanders open the scoring. I think we talked about kind of in the first period as well. If you're just joining us now, that maybe the first goal that the Flames score doesn't maybe come their way. It is the opponent team that scores first. They have a slow start out of the gates. They usually let down the opening scoring, and then they somehow come back to win like they did tonight. So it's kind of surprising. Anything else you wanted to say in terms of the second period, Peter, from your notes?
Not really. Again, it was a bit of a low event, just everything for the Flames. And Dustin Wolf, I think, very much keeping this team in some of these games. And I do wonder how much of the defensive whatevers it is masking. And because I still think that this is a team that is lacking on the blue line. Although Ball has played better than I thought he would, and Miromanov has been significantly better than I thought he would be. But I do still think that this is a weak spot for this team, but they are currently in the top 10 in goals against on the season. And so goals against per game, sorry, for the season. And so I don't know if this is, well, these goalies are just standing on their heads and making all these saves, or if they're doing a bit better defensively than I think they are doing. Because like the Islanders, I don't think they got a ton of absolute fantastic chances in this game, but I do think that the Flames still give up a few too many absolute grade A opportunities, but I'm sure every team thinks that of their own squad. So that's still something that I personally am kind of batting around in my head. But overall, I think we covered it pretty well.
Yeah, 100% Dustin Wolf and defending challenges, which I'm guessing will improve in the future. We have a lot of logjam blue line, lot of rookies, lot of prospects, and that will be another topic for another day. But let's move on to our third period. Since Vancouver and New York Rangers right now, quick out of town scoreboard, I just quickly went and checked. 3-3 right now with 12:58 remaining in that game. So why not? Let's do a third period segue by giving a shout out to our Game Over Vancouver because they'll have a show here soon as well. But Game Over has covered you after the game. But in order to get to ready to watch the Canucks, you have got to get your game on to. And Game On Vancouver is a short form daily news podcast covering everything you need to know about the Vancouver Canucks. And we are relaunching that a little bit, so stay tuned for updates on the Game On side, pardon me. And then hosted by Mark Sequenta and Zach Clark. Get all your Canucks news in under 10 minutes, Monday through Friday, on the Vancouver YouTube channel and a podcast form, which you can find at the gameovernetwork.com/pages/Vancouver. And they'll be having a show as well live. So if you follow the Vancouver Canucks, or if Vancouver Canucks is one of your teams, go check out them tonight. They'll be having a post game like us shortly in around 12 minutes or so. So something to keep an eye out for. Let's look into period three. So Peter, I wanted to leave this to you, because since the last two topics were kind of mine, but you had one topic to talk about, so I'll segue to you. I'll give it the third period head where you can ask me questions, you can ask the chat questions. We'll do it all.
Yeah, I think we are getting to a point now where like what is happening is more than just, oh, it's early, oh, it's a trend, oh, it's this, oh, it's that, it's the other thing. It's like, well, this is this might just be who they are. And right now, this Flames team I think is really struggling at putting the puck in the net. They're bottom third in the league in at just scoring. And when you look at some of the underlying metrics, it's a lot of just hovering around 50%, which is basically where everyone kind of is. But overall, I just worry about where the goals are coming from because they are not really generating offensively in the way that I thought they would. And as of this exact moment in time, they are just outside the bottom 10. It might be 10th. I don't want to just count in front of all of you, but in terms of high danger chances for on the season. And that is something that's a little bit concerning for me because I thought coming into the year that this was going to be a team that was going to be able to at least generate some offense and not be able to defend worth a lick. And the exact opposite has happened, where all of the goals, as was pointed out by Matt C in the chat, all of the goals have come from basically defenders all season long, it feels like. And now it's 16 games in a row that the Flames have scored 3 goals or less here. I don't think they've scored 4 since October. So I just have some concerns about that kind of long term because the group that is here right now, these ones are supposed to be those guys. Like there isn't a top goal scorer in the American Hockey League that you call up and it just fixes everything, right? That was kind of supposed to be the Coronado thing, quite frankly. The other guys right now are definitely energy and have been putting points up for sure at the American Hockey League level. But I don't know, what change you can make to make the goals come, or B, am I just overreacting a little bit here? Because they're still winning a lot of these games. They are still in a playoff spot right now. And so I guess my question for you is this a concern for you? And should it be at all if this team is going to continue to win?
It depends on what type of, do I say, fan you are, or what you're hoping for the team. I think that's where you take it, if it's a concern or not. There are some teams that are fan base that wants to embrace and win games and get those points. And because that, I think there is that Montreal first round pick that's involved at stake. Some fans want either the playoff push, or some fans want us to get that top 10 pick as well. So right now, again, 18 games in, I think it's a little too early to push that alarm button, but it's definitely concerning, of course. We have couple few players that we expect to perform every night, and we don't quite often see that from them. I don't want to name shame or anything like that, but Peter, the players who we kind of expect to show up every night and to score based on their contracts and numbers. Um, so I think right now it's not a concern, but ask me again maybe 25 or 30 games down the road. We'll see if I have a different answer. But right now, I think it's the goaltending that's keeping them in games, that's winning them games. But on the other nights, like you said, it's been very rare. Like since last October, we have seen a score fest from the Flames, and I think that has made some games boring to watch, but definitely interesting with the goaltending as well. You're seeing good goaltending, but boring games in terms of offense. So I don't know what to choose just yet. I think it's little too early, but that's where I stand.
Yeah, no, and that's very fair. Because like you said, it is early still. We are just at kind of just past the 1/5 mark of the year, coming up on the quarter pole of the season. I guess the part of it, I know you said you don't want to name shame or anything, but I have no problem. Uh, but I think that when you like Kuzmenko, this was the best he's looked in a while tonight, and that he wasn't even that great. I just you noticed him a couple of times, and Kadri, we are getting further and further removed from games where he has been overly impactful, and so we have Matt C again in the chat. who is saying, like, do we have a look at Karen's or Pelche at some point? The current 12 just aren't scoring. And I mean, I think my quick response is yeah, but the problem is those guys would be put on the fourth line, and I don't really want to mess with the fourth line right now because the fourth line is playing the role of the fourth line just fine. And so I don't know, like if you are going to make a sub, it's not going to be from anyone in the top nine. That was the whole problem around trying to get Coronado into the lineup in the first place. So I don't know. It's going to have to be, I think, those specifically those nine guys who are going to have to figure it out. And I think it starts with Kuzmenko needs to be better. Kadri needs to be better. And those guys need to those guys need to really get it going. And to Mackenzie's point in the chat, like Kuzmenko, it was obvious the frustrations were there. And now maybe just seeing the puck go into the net off of his stick in the shootout is going to be enough to get him rolling a little bit more. At least you hope from a flame standpoint, because yeah, it has kind of dried up a little bit. And at some point, well, you were right, the goaltending has carried him. I feel like Vladar rocking 930 the rest of the way feels a bit unsustainable. Same thing with Dustin Wolf. I, for one, think that the save percentage might come down from 965 in November. So, like at some point, there are going to be some lulls, and eventually, this team is going to have to score some goals. And you're right. Like I've been saying on this platform and others that I've been on that the results this year shouldn't necessarily matter. It is about the process and it is about figuring out what you have. But you need to figure out where the goals are going to come from. Because somewhere down the line, this team plans on being good again. And to do that, you still need to put the puck in the net in this league. And I've the thing that I guess gives you the confidence is that I've liked the kids. Like I've liked how Zari has played. I like how how Coronado has played, and those are going to be the guys who are going to be a part of things when it gets good again. So maybe there's at least a little bit of that there, but it is not just the lack of scoring that they're doing, but it is the lack of generating any kind of chances that makes me a little bit concerned just about different things stylistically and stuff like that. So overall, again, that this is a significantly better start than I thought this team was going to have. And I know I've rambled it. I'm very sorry because I've hit like 8 different points without letting you talk. So sorry about that. But I think that this is a team that has significantly outplayed expectations. And so to nitpick a few things is it feels excessive given the lack of expectations and the lack of good players that this team has, but it's one of those things that I've kind of noticed as this has kind of gone along here.
Now, Peter, I give you this spirit segment to feel free to share your thoughts and what you have seen as well. So, I appreciate you for sharing that. So, you talked about Nazim Khatri, you talked about Kuzmenko maybe gaining his confidence tonight. One thing I haven't possibly seen is Blake Coleman. I don't see
Hmm.
his Texas Tiger figure that he has been since last season. So I think maybe that's a concern also that we need to keep in tab out for when it comes into the next few games here, maybe 25, 30 games. How does Coleman translate? How does his improvement performance improve, I guess, because yeah, we haven't seen much from Coleman. Huberdeau, he shows flashes in some games. Nazim Kadri, we haven't seen that effort either. So if they need to remain on that top 12, I think they need to start scoring. And I think Matsy is right on point there. And then I'll refer back to Matsy's question once again. Karens or Pell, do we call them up now? From the way they are scoring in the AHL, yes. But again, do we have a spot for them yet? No, kind of maybe. um it also, because you don't want to break up that Coleman backline, Coronato line, because Coronato has been so fantastic, like you said earlier. Zari is the better of the Zari Kadri line. And oh yeah, no, not Zari Kadri, Huberdeau, Zari and Sharangovich line, Zari is the best. uh, and I don't know, Peter, if you agree with me, but Zari, I feel like he's a bit unlucky. He's getting those chances. He's able to dish it almost into the net, but can't convert them. What have you seen from Zari? I like his game, but I think he's just been unlucky here and there, not being able to convert that into a goal.
Yeah, I would agree with that. And I think a lot of with Zari right now is focused on other things, right? Because he is trying out center for the first time at the National Hockey League level. There's so much that goes into that position that if the results aren't necessarily there for a few games, you will excuse that from him. And then again, process over results. He's creating those opportunities. It's just not going into the back end of that for him. I loved his game tonight. I thought he did a lot of really positive things from a Calgary Flames standpoint that helped them really start to build up a little bit of momentum. And so I think that he is kind of taking to the center position a little bit more effectively. And so I'm with you. I think that it's it's going to come for him for sure. It has at various points this season. It's just in a little bit of a stretch right now where it's not, but he is one where on a pretty consistent basis, I know what I'm going to get from him, and I really do like him.
Yeah, 100% I agree with you. And then third period scoring, we'll talk about quick scoring summary and that goal coming from Rasmus Anderson from the blue line on that power play. Oh yeah, one thing I wanted to talk about is our power play. I think it has seemed to improve a little bit. Maybe they're getting a couple shots in at least from tonight. I want to see a couple more games of this power play. But yeah, Rasmus Anderson, good snipe from the blue line, assisted by Martin Pospisil and Kadri. So maybe Peter, let's talk about a little bit of the power play. What have you seen is maybe specifically just tonight? And then do you think it will be a solution moving forward from what you saw tonight?
I hope so. The Islanders, for being as good defensively as they are, their penalty kill was at like 65% coming into it, which is just, I can't figure that out necessarily. But then you see it tonight, and it wasn't threatening at all. And that hasn't at times necessarily mattered because Calgary's power play has had the struggles, like you mentioned. But there was just, it felt like a moment or something flipped where they were just like, oh, they're not that there's no resistance coming from these guys, and there was a confidence and there was a aggressiveness to it. And even if they weren't going to score on that, they were going to get a ton of momentum off of that power play. And then Rasmus Anderson with a shot that would have taken down a building. That was a blast that he was able to hammer off there. So I thought a lot of positives there because there have been times where this power play has not been good, and yeah, I think I even said on these very airwaves, well, not this one, but you know what I mean. On Game Over, I have said like what what is it supposed to look like? Even if you just put four pylons out there, what's that power play supposed to look like? This one, you at least saw what it was supposed to look like. It is very quick puck movement. It is obviously trying to set up Rasmus Anderson with the slap shot from the heavens and try to set something up that way. But it was quick, and there were a few different options that they could go to. And Anderson's just happened to be the best one that was available, with Varlamov overplaying a pass over on the Kadri side of things. So I'm with you. I thought it was much improved tonight, and quite a bit of aggression from them, and that's something I would like to see a little bit more of as the season rolls on, and hopefully, as we talked about, goals have been a bit difficult to come by for this team, so it sure makes it easier when you can score one when the other team has less people out there than you do.
Yeah, and then couple things you need to thank as well tonight, I guess. In the overtime, of course, I think it was Bo Horvat who tried to shoot, and then it dinged the crossbar, and that stayed out. And then I think they also killed that penalty that Backlund took, and then that took the game into overtime with Justin Kirkland, Costco, being the shootout winner, and then just before that, Andrei Kuzmenko as well. So we talked about how that might translate confidence for Kuzmenko moving forward. Anything else you wanted to cover, Peter, on the third period? I know I give you that period to talk about, but anything else we're missing that we need to talk about?
No, I think we covered a lot of it. That Dobson shot, I was as he was winding up, I was like, of course, this is how this is going to end. It's going to be the guy who they picked with the pick that the Flames gave him for Hamonic is going to score and win this game. And then he beat Wolf, but just couldn't beat the bar. And Kirkland, I still have a few more uses of this joke that I can do. Apparently, you can buy shootout winners in bulk with Costco getting the shootout winner this evening. So corny jokes aside, that's all I got for period number three.
All right, thank you for that little laughter. So before we head into our period four overtime segment, Peter, you have an announcement to make. I think I'll segue it to you. Go ahead with your announcement. For those who are watching, I think five of us. Keep those chat coming though. We appreciate your questions. We'll go over through the chat in detail again once again shortly. But Peter, I'll give you the floor for a few moments.
Yeah. Like you said there, get the chats in and like the video as well. I mean, how could you not? I think it's been a really good show so far. But yeah, so announcement time. This one is my personal last Game Over episode. I've decided to resign from the channel. It's it just there isn't one specific reason or anything like that. It's just life has become very, very, very busy for me at a rate that was not necessarily anticipated and was certainly not sustainable for me. And so it was just something had to go and landed on this one. But I said this privately, but I want to say publicly that I am so grateful for the opportunity that was given to me by Andrew Berkshire with Game Over many moons ago after getting laid off from Sportsnet 960 out here back in 2021. I didn't exactly know what was going to be next. And so to have this opportunity to kind of start fresh again was um, really enticing to me. And then to see that the community that we built so quickly was really encouraging. And it was a a community aspect of the hockey talk world that I didn't necessarily know existed. Just based off of past experiences and chats and stuff like that, to know that this type of a community could be built was really encouraging. And then for us to lose that again was so incredibly frustrating. But to be able to build it back up in the way that we have and to continue to build it has been awesome. And I personally feel bad that I haven't been able to help out in the fight to get this thing where it needs to get to, or where I think we deserve to get it to. And I didn't have the energy in me to fight the man every day, to get this one where I needed to be, and just and you and Conrad and Matt and just the ideas and the enthusiasm and everything like that. And I found myself not able to keep up, and that was starting to stress me out a little bit too. So I am I'm not going like forever away. This doesn't mean anything else really is on the like nothing official has happened or anything like that. It is just this is it's time to say goodbye to this one for now. But I am still going to be around on social media. I'm still going to be forever fans of everyone here at Game Over. There are so many incredibly talented people that have come through Game Over, both past and present, and it is really exciting to see where this thing goes. And I still wholeheartedly believe in the vision that we laid out when we started this thing, when it was us talking about this team in the playoffs and all of that, and then to kind of restart it the way that we have. I still believe in everything that Game Over has stood for so long, and I am really excited to see where you guys take this now. And so, again, thank you to Andrew, and Conrad, and Matt. You guys are just the absolute best and are going to keep this thing rolling in ways that I'm really excited to see. And so, for everyone here, like I said, like the video. If you haven't already, subscribe to Game Over Calgary because there's a lot of really, really great things coming from a lot of very, very talented individuals that are on this channel. But the monologue has gone on certainly long enough. So, yes, we will now go to everything else that we need to get to before we put a bow on the show tonight.
Yeah, once again, thank you, Peter. I think you and Audie introduced me to the show, and then I started watching in between. I would pop in the chat, not as often, but I used to come on the chat, just chat. Then I met you once at a hockey tournament. I think it was the Rocky Mountain Classic last year. That's when we met in person first, and then all of us decided online. I saw Game Over Calgary's hiring. I didn't know I would get a chance. I just applied. I used my broadcasting experience, and then I got in. Now I got to work with you, and yeah, wishing you all the best in your busy life. We'll still see you around. But friends, go support Peter. You can follow his social media, mainly on Twitter and Blue Sky, and wherever you have on that front, Game Over Network is also on social media as well, and we are trying to grow that brand as well. But we have some merch for you as well. So let me get the QR code up on the screen. Oops, it might have. Give me 1 second. I'll have to Heidi Peter for just a second, just to show this QR code to everybody. What a way better to support something that you love than by rocking it as clothing. Game Over's apparel line has dropped with three unique designs. Whether you feel the nostalgic pull of a retro skater design, want to make a statement with our established design currently on sale, want to wear a love for goalies with proudly with our live and die by the goalie design, or if you wanted just another coffee to get you through the winter. I heard the mug is being just being ordered and being available, and this is all designed by Brady Chalice from Game Over Network Calgary. Use the QR code right now on the stream, and now take a look at our apparel store and help us rebuild local sports in Canada while wrapping your community. All right, I'm gonna bring Peter back and hide the QR code because I didn't properly frame you with the QR code on Peter, so that's my bad. I apologize. Uh,
All good.
but I had to hide it there for a moment. So let's get into our final section of the show that the announcement is done, and that's period four and questions. All right, so Conrad, welcome to the chat. We'll go from the beginning. We'll quickly skim through all of them. Was a very Islanders game. I agree. I think we talked it about all game long. Um, it wasn't a big scoring fest. We didn't have much to talk about, but we brought a couple good points that I think is fun to discuss about. We talked about Dustin Wolf. We talked about Miromanov's confidence. We talked about maybe Kuzmenko being the first shootout scorer, bringing his confidence back. Then Matt C says if only our forwards could shoot as well as defenders. Definitely, we have seen that trend recently. The defensive offensive side, Mackenzie Weegar from last season, Daniil Miromanov now, and then Rasmus Anderson today. I think those three keep that offensive scoring really well alive. Um, and then it was you next, Peter. Welcome. And then Mackenzie Grafton is 5-on-5 is so oof. I think Flames have played maybe little better on 5-on-5 compared to the special teams. But again, 5-on-5 again doesn't produce that scoring as much as we would like. But I think overall, little bit if we look here and there, I think we have had the best chances on 5-on-5. Do you agree, Peter, on that front?
Yeah, like I mean, there was just not a whole lot happened in this game just in general, right? So 5-on-5, 3-on-3, wherever, that there wasn't a whole lot that was happening. So, no, I think 5-on-5, like I said, like the high danger chances have not been there nearly enough for this team, and that's something that's going to have to improve. But for this game, I thought that they did all right. Against an Islanders team that I think also probably comes away from this game just being like, yeah, I don't know, we played hockey and things happened. Like they're just it's a tough game to really get a read on either way.
And then Matsi again, we got smashed at the face off again, only 137.3%. I think we touched about that a little, especially Zari. If you're talking about him at center, he's still just learning the center facets of an NHL team and NHL setting. So I think he was waved off again a couple of times in the face of zone today. So that kind of would have dropped, but I think he sure is learning. He'll get the hang of it, and we'll see more constant faceoffs hopefully from him, and he can improve as well. And then Flames outskated the Isles, wore them down. I wouldn't necessarily say so because how we have been talking about, but again, I guess we skated out them in overtime maybe, just because how we killed the penalty, but I don't think we over outskated them in the entirety of the game. Would you agree, Peter?
Yeah, I think that they were definitely the quicker team. It was a bit more difficult for Calgary to get the forecheck going than I thought it was going to be. I kind of thought they would get a little bit more off of that in this game. I would say that the Flames probably looked like the quicker team for sure, and maybe that is something that finally showed up there in overtime a little bit. I was expecting a bit more of a jump. Like we said, this was a very well rested team, so I thought that there might be a little bit more there. But I do think that they were the quicker team of the two there. So I think there's a bit of a point to Joey's chat there for sure.
Gotcha, fair enough. And then Mackenzie Grafton asking Dustin Wolf for Calder. I mean, I've heard a lot of conversations on this one. It's A, too early. B, there are already favorites for Calder conversation. So I don't know where I stand on it just yet, but definitely Wolf deserves it if we are talking about this early in the season. But let's just once again, wait for a bit and see how it goes. Your thoughts, Peter, on Dustin Wolf for Calder?
Yeah, like it is a little bit too early. I think that this is certainly one of the aspects of the gambling integration into everything is that future markets are up all year for these sorts of things, and so that there's line movement in all of those conversations, and that is something that I think a lot of people are still figuring out in terms of the conversation, and so I think that we see the odds up there and we see different line moving. Oh, well, this hasn't moved yet and all those things. And so you can certainly, I think when it comes to looking at taking advantage of maybe a bit of a slow to adjust odds market, I think there's certainly a conversation to be had there. Any serious awards conversation, though, should certainly be left to at least after American Thanksgiving, but probably a little bit later than that as well, and probably once the calendar flips to 2025. But because of the gambling conversations and stuff like that, there's at least a little bit of a conversation to be had there. But in terms of actual predictive anything, no, you're right. It's far too early for that. But if we were going to pick one, it'd be Wolf.
100%. And then Matsi again, do we look at Karen's or Pelche? We talked about that a bit earlier if you missed the segment, but I'll just say again, it would be good right now to call up them because we need that scoring like we always talked about this game so far. But again, is there a point where we can fit the or place where we can fit them? That's the only question comes to right now because they let's use Klapka as an example. They called up Klapka like last week. Then they sent him down over the weekend. Now they brought him back again, and he has not played. So I don't know if there is that perfect spot. And Klapka is a person that perfectly fits in the fourth line spot. But I think, like Peter, like you said, that fourth line keeps giving, or at least shows what it needs a fourth line to be. So I don't think there is a place Karen's or Pelts have right now, and I think it's a bit of a waiting game at the moment to see what happens down the road. Do you agree?
Yeah, no, I would agree with that entirely.
All right, perfect. And then if we do manage to limp into playoffs, we won't do much without any dangerous scorers. Agreed. That's been the conversation team all this evening. And Kuzmenko was noticeable, but so was his frustrations. Yeah, I think with that shootout winner, hopefully he'll get some confidence back and his frustration eases off. Again, once again, everything is work in progress. And then Mackenzie Grafton says, "All the best to you, Peter." I think that's for you. And then we are we surprised to see Sharangovich out first in the shootout?
Maybe a little bit. Like he hasn't been necessarily going all that well, but he still has I think an elite weapon with that shot, right? And so, I mean, if you were going to hold out people who weren't doing well offensively, then just the puck would sit there for a while. Because there isn't a whole lot on this team, or you just have Rasmus Anderson come up and just tee one off from the blue line, which the old Dion Phaneuf hammer that one from the hash marks and really set that tone. But so no, I wasn't overly surprised. I was kind of hoping that from a um again confidence standpoint, like we saw Kuzmenko go out there and get the goal. You were maybe hoping that Sharon Govich could find a bit of a spark with that as well. And then they were obviously looking to bring the hammer home at the end with Justin Kirkland. Sorry. So yeah, I think they were hoping for maybe a bit more success there. But again, like there's just not a whole lot of options on this team right now when it comes to putting that puck into the net.
Yeah, 100%. I agree with you. Maybe a little bit surprised, but we know Sharangovich or Sharangovich, however you want to put it, he has that scoring and shooting mentality. So maybe I think Ryan has come in with a decent picks on shooting options today. Especially you want to get especially Sharangovich and Kuzmenko going, and I think this would have been those two. Option. I mean, Sharangovich didn't score, but he got the chance to shoot, and he would have a mindset of that. And then Kuzmenko, he scored, so he'll have a mindset that he scored and ready to maybe shoot more pucks into the net. All right, Conrad, welcome to our other co-host or panel of Game Over. Saying I missed a bit. Have we discussed if it's Wolf's net now? Wolfie's net now. I think, yeah, we talked about it a bit on the segment. I think it's still too early. We don't know what the Flames will do. We are not the ones making the decision. But I think I would like to see Wolf. I think you also agree, Peter. We would like to see maybe Wolf go once again against Rangers and then maybe Saturday against Wild. Your thoughts?
Yeah, I do think you still have to keep Vladar at least somewhat fresh and keep him at least in the mix because he is also playing really, really well. But yeah, like Dustin Wolf, that this is an unbelievable run that he has been on. And I think that as this goes on, instead of it being 55-45% wise for Vladar, that's starting to kind of level off a little bit. And I think it can start to be Wolf getting the majority of the starts with Vladar kind of filling in some of those gaps. And again, that is not a knock on Vladar. He has played really, really well, but we all know who the long-term project is, and it's Wolf. And so if you can continue to ride that hot hand with him, then go for it. I do want to caution against just riding him into the ground right now, although he is young and spry, so it's probably difficult to do that. But this is a guy who would go literally weeks without playing games last year for the Flames, and so I would want there to be maybe a little bit more, still a little bit more from Vladar, but overall, I think that there is certainly much more that we can see for Dustin Wolf going forward.
Yeah, 100%. I agree with you on that. You want to keep both goaltenders fresh, not stress the workload of either or. But then you want to also test Wolf and see like I mean we he has proved he's capable already, but there are maybe odd couple more teams that he would like to see and wiggle out and see how it works out. And then Maxi again saying I think we need to test Wolf out against some better teams. Vladar has probably copped the tougher opponent so far. Yeah, I would agree so, but then again, we saw maybe I think you said the Jets, Wolves started, so that's one of the teams. And then now we'll see what happens on Thursday coming up against Rangers. It will be an interesting topic as well. Keep an eye out on social media, I guess, when those announcements come in. Conrad saying Wolf is way greater than Celebrini. Mackenzie Groughton says, "Awoo!" The whole classic wolf owl. And then Conrad says, and Peter Klein beats me in fantasy football, then leaves game over. Salt in the wound, salt in the wound, sir.
Yeah, I mean to be fair, I'd have beat anybody. That was a one of the most prolific fantasy weeks I've had ever. And I think honestly Conrad would have beat most teams in the league that we're in as well. So that is yes, apologies that Conrad just had happened to be on the tracks while that train was coming because that was I think I got to 200 points with how that went. Like that was just an unbelievable string of games for my team. So yes, apologies to Conrad. That I am kind of walking out doing there's probably a better reference for this audience, but doing a George Costanza of leaving on the high note on that one for sure.
Yeah, I don't play fantasy football, but interesting topics that come along when my friends and all talk about. So fascinating. All right, I think that's it from the chat from my end. Peter, do you see anything else, or is it just my chat that's
Nope,
done?
no, you got it. We covered everything.
Cool. All right, we'll just do a quick look ahead. So the Flames next play on Thursday. It's a 7 p.m. puck drop, so same time as today against the New York Rangers. Matt and Conrad will have that post-game show. Then into the weekend on Saturday, it's a 2 p.m. puck drop. Most likely Conrad and me will be back again, but I have to double check something in my terms of schedule. Either it will be Conrad flying solo or it will be me co-hosting with him, and then we play next week into Senators, where there is a crossover with the Ottawa Senators and us. So I'll be on that one. I think as a guest for the crossover. So that will do it. I think I've covered everything. We have talked about everything. Peter, once again, thank you so much for joining me this evening. It was a pleasure doing this with you. Once again, all the best with all your future endeavors. We'll sure keep in touch. And for those who have joined us, be sure to like, subscribe, and share it with your friends. And tell us how great Game Over Network channel is all great about. Peter, any final words or thoughts from you?
No, just like I said, this is it's kind of crazy that we're signing off here now. I was half anticipating what to say, but I wasn't anticipating the whole it being done thing. So yeah, thank you to Matt C. With the all the best and the cheers. I will be bugging you guys in many of these chats. So I'm not going away. I'm just not going to be one of the pretty faces that you guys see here, but you guys are in real good hands with all of that going forward. So yeah, again, just thank you to everyone who has supported this, and thank you to the team here. And even going back, I should have mentioned my name before, but thank you to Audie as well, who was the initial coach or host with me, sorry, and helped out so much as I went from being the young guy on the radio to the old guy on the internet very, very quickly. And everyone has been so supportive of that. So, Anand, it was great meeting you at that hockey tournament, and I was really excited when to see that go from being people passing in the hallway to coworkers, and very excited to see where you go and this whole thing goes. So yeah, make sure you subscribe because there's a lot of great stuff coming, and that's all I got. I have no witty close to all this. Just keep enjoying Game Over. It's going to be a fun ride the rest of the way.
All right, that will do it. That was Peter Klein and myself, Anand Unnithan, signing off this evening. Once again, next Flames Puck Drop is on Thursday at 7 p.m. Same time as tonight. Tune in to Matt DeMille and Conrad Krausert, who will have their post-game coverage. I want to thank everybody for being a part of this. Have a great evening. Stay warm if you're in Calgary. Of course, we are getting another round of snowfall starting, I think, tomorrow. So stay warm, bundle safely, and travel safe, guys. Take it easy. Mackenzie, Matsy, Conrad, and Primetime the Klein as well. Thanks all for watching. Have a great evening. See you all. See you soon.